Okay, we're live. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for
Hey
coming.
guys.
Hi. Oh, welcome, Pepper. Thank you
Yay,
so much.
Pepper. Welcome.
We have great emojis. Just look in the emojis and you'll find all the new emojis for being a member. So we're going to get right to it. We have, once again, on our panel, HG Tudor. And we are going to be talking tonight about the stages of narc abuse. And that was a topic that Wendy wanted to discuss because we do have a lot of people that come into our chats who have been in narcissistic relationships, and we want you to know the signs, the different stages and the signs that you should be looking out for. HG Tudor, when he came here the last time, he said he is a self-proclaimed narcissist and a psychopath. And he does have a website that I put into the description. He has a YouTube channel, and he also has many, many books, over 40 books on Amazon. So I put all the links for you in the description so that after the live stream, if you want to find out more about HG, you can. So we have a limited amount of time. We have an hour and a half with HG, so we want to dive right into this. So Wendy, I am going to let Wendy pretty much guide us through this. And of course, if anyone has questions in the side chat during this live stream and you want us to ask HG, we will. But we're going to start off by Wendy kind of just asking him about what it is that she has been wanting to know.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Okay. That's good. No, hi. Big thank you. Thank you for doing that. It feels all big and formal and scary. So I'm going to I can't handle that. That freaks me out.
right,
So
all right.
I'm real low key and informal. I hope that's okay, HG. Good. Thanks. So what I wanted to know, or really what I wanted to have you talk about tonight, are the different stages of abuse when it comes to being in a relationship with a narcissist. So I've heard terms, I've heard things like love bombing and hoovering and devaluing and discard and all of those things. I've heard lots of terms, no contact and gray rock and all that. I've heard all of those things, but what are they? What do they mean? What order do they go in? How do you, what do they look like? What, can you talk about that? I guess that's what I wanted to know about.
Okay. Well, the starting point is to understand that narcissists don't just appear in a romantic setting. So there are different genres. Most people experience it in a romantic setting, but there's also familial, social, business, friends, neighbors, and people may not even notice it where they have an involvement with a narcissist in particular settings. And it's only when they've experienced it, perhaps in a romantic situation, they realize what it is and they read about it and understand it. And they then look back at their life or look at their life at the moment through that lens, that they realize, actually, there's a couple of narcissists in my family and my boss at work is one. And there's one in my friendship group and my neighbor is one. And they never realized before that. And so it's important to establish that there are those different genres of familial, social, romantic, etc. Because contrary to what a lot of people write about in terms of narcissism, they have a conventional view of what the dynamic is, and that's oversimplified. Basically, what they write about is this idea of the idealization, the devaluation, and then the discard. And some listeners may have come across that and be familiar with those words. That oversimplifies it because there are wheels within wheels with all of this. So I'll focus to begin with on a situation where it's a romantic ensnarement, because that's the one that most people experience and tends to cause significant damage to individuals. Let us say a narcissist is in a bar and he meets a lady. As soon as he meets her, she has now entered his fuel matrix. The fuel matrix consists of different rankings of appliances. I'll go through more of that a little bit later. She is a tertiary source, which means she's a stranger. His narcissism, and for most narcissists it's unconscious, has to control that individual, because the central reason for our existence is control. We must control our environments and everybody in them. So, because most narcissists because most narcissists at the outset will use a benign method of controlling somebody, he will be pleasant to her. He might smile at her, just simply a smile. She smiles back. Her smile is fuel because it's an emotional response from her caused by him. And it signals that she's starting to come under his control. And that's what he unconsciously wants. So he then starts to talk to her. And again, he's pleasant and he's interesting and he's kind. Why? Because if we are red of tooth and claw from the very beginning, we wouldn't get any victims. If I sat next to a lady in the bar and said, hello, my name's HG Tudor and I'm a narcissistic psychopath, would you like a dirty martini? She'd likely scream and run away from me. So instead, we sit down and we are interesting. We're kind, we're charming. We find commonality because we mirror what you do and we mirror the things that you talk about. We feign an interest. And it's important at this early juncture to make a distinction between the types of narcissists that you have. I'm what I categorize as a greater, which means I'm self-aware. And there are other greater narcissists that are self-aware, but we're very rare. Most people will meet either lesser or mid-range narcissists, and there's different categories of those. But quite simply, 99.9% of narcissists don't know what they are, operate purely through instinct, even though it might seem to you that it's calculated. It's not, it's instinct, and they will never change. So all of his actions, this hypothetical man in the bar, he doesn't sit there and think this: I'm a narcissist, I need to control that lady over her. So what I'll do is I'll be nice to her so she's friendly towards me. Doesn't work like that. He does it instinctively. His narcissism has evolved in a way that causes him to behave in a particular way to draw her in. So he starts talking to her and he's being pleasant to her. Yes?
Am I allowed to ask questions or should I wait till the end?
No, please ask questions.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. So I'm going with your hypothetical man in a bar, but I would say that like all men in bars smile at women. I mean, are they all bad? Like, how do you know the ones that, you know, you exchange a smile with and then boom, you've turned on this narcissist now. You don't even realize that you've done that. How do you, you could smile at anybody in a bar.
Well, indeed. And again, that goes to the point that what we do is we fit in with normal social conventions, so you can't spot that it's us.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we have to fit in. So, and I can turn to things that you can look for at a later stage, things that you can look for in order to perhaps realize that there are red flags. So he starts chatting.
Please. Yes. Okay.
So he chats with her and he talks about something that she's interested in. He picks up on that and he's now seducing her. Okay, because he wants to control her, to own her. Remember, all of this is unconscious. He just thinks that he's having a nice conversation with her, but his narcissism, so think of it as being two layers, what he is consciously aware of and what is unconsciously going on. Unconsciously, he must control her. His narcissism operates in an unconscious fashion in order to control her. So he's being pleasant. He buys her a drink. When he buys her that drink, that is a benign form of manipulation. Why? Because he's unconsciously doing it to control her. He's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He will think he's doing it because he's a nice man, but because he's a narcissist, the real reason he's doing it is because he has to control her. So they talk, they have drinks, and he asks her for a number, and she willingly gives it him. She then goes home. The next day, he calls her and says, would you like to go out for dinner tonight? Yeah, I'm not doing anything. Sure. They meet up for dinner. He gets to know her better. At this point, she has now become a secondary source, a non-intimate secondary source. There's been no kisses, there's Nothing sexual so far. They've just got along. And a non-intimate secondary source can be a friend, a family member, or a colleague. So in this instance, she has become a friend. This means that her potency of her responses has become more important to the narcissist. And his narcissism senses that she may well provide the prime aims to him, which are fuel and control, character traits, and residual benefits to a very high degree. Therefore, she becomes a target. He then is very pleasant during the meal, offers to pay, because this particular type of narcissist is one that quite likes to demonstrate some largesse in terms of financial resources. Another narcissist might play the old "I forgot my wallet" and get her to pay. Depends on, there's different flavors of narcissists. As they leave, he gives her a kiss and she responds. At this point, she's now become an intimate partner, secondary source of this narcissist. His narcissism senses she could well provide us with these prime aims. We're now going to press the accelerate button on this relationship to draw her in. Now, this man in the bar may well be married. He has never told this lady that he's married because he has no emotional empathy for his wife, that he's now cheating with another woman. He has a rampant sense of entitlement. He compartmentalizes so that his wife doesn't exist in his mind at the point where he's interacting with this woman. And this is often very hard for victims to understand because they think to themselves, well, how is it that he can, with almost seemingly a clean conscience, cheat on his wife, be with this lady, perhaps have a bunk up in the back of the car, and then go home and crawl into bed with his wife? He can do it because he compartmentalizes. The narcissism does that. And many people who are caught by narcissists think, well, yeah, this guy actually did tell me he was married. But he said that, it's an empty marriage. They're only together for the sake of the children. And that his wife thinks his clothes are painted on. They're like brother and sister. They sleep in separate beds. It's nonsense. Why? Because if that narcissist sat down with that victim and said, yes, I'm married. My wife caters for my every need. We have a rampant sex life. She's a great cook. She's brilliant with the kids. We live in a nice home. But because I'm a narcissist, I feel that I have to cheat on her because I've become bored of her. That other person will go, well, I don't want anything to do with you. They walk away. So his narcissism chooses on his behalf instinctively that the best way to seduce that person, if he admits that he's married, is to play the old "my wife doesn't understand me" card. And the victim falls for it, not because they're a bad person, but because they have an addiction to the narcissist, which causes them to be more susceptible. Empathic people are more susceptible to these overtures. Now, his narcissism has decided to press accelerate on the button. So he may well be married, and he goes home to his wife, and he's perfectly pleasant to her, but he's been cheating because he's been smooching some other lady. The next day, he starts with the love bombing, which is essentially his narcissism determines that this person may well satisfy the prime aims. And the reason he's cheating on his wife is because she is in devaluation. So his wife is what is known as the intimate partner primary source. But she is in devaluation because essentially she's deemed to be a malfunctioning appliance, because in the mind of the narcissist, people are just appliances to be owned and used like toasters and kettles and television sets. And she has become a bad toaster. So that's why he cheats, because his narcissism is looking for the replacement toaster on his behalf. So with the love bombing, what he starts doing is he starts texting her 20 times an hour. Great night last night. You look so beautiful. I can't believe I've met somebody like you. It was such a relief to talk to somebody who understands me in the way that you do. You're my soulmate. And similar explanations. Okay. So starts with all of that. It's instinctive. Understand, he does not sit there and do this. I really want that woman. What's the best way that I can seduce her? Blah, I know. I'll embark upon a campaign of text messages, buying her flowers, and ringing her up and having lengthy telephone conversations with her late at night. He doesn't plan it. It happens instinctively. And so all through the day when he's at work, ping, 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 these texts are going backwards and forwards. When he's doing all of this, sending the messages, and with such things as, I think I'm falling in love with you, or I loved you from the moment I met you. That's Hollywood nonsense. That doesn't happen. And so he will come out with those things. Why? Because he has a rampant sense of entitlement. He has to own her. He has to bring her under control and as quickly as possible. He doesn't have boundary recognition. A person who has emotional empathy would not be sending 20 texts an hour because they would instinctively recognize the privacy of that person and wouldn't bombard them. But we as narcissists don't have that. Moreover, he has no emotional empathy for his wife. He's cheating on her. He has no emotional empathy for the target because he hasn't told her that he's married. And so he has no feelings for either of them with regard to guilt or conscience or remorse about what he's doing. She thinks, oh, this is wonderful. I've met this man. He was ever so kind. He bought me dinner and he's interested in equestrianism like I am. And he also likes archery. We talked about that. And he's got a good job, yada, yada, yada. And so she starts to respond and she answers, oh, I had a really great time. Every time she sends that text message, she is feeding fuel to the narcissist and is signaling that she's coming under control. And then they meet up and they go out for dinner again. And this time he's booked at a restaurant where there's some rooms. And he says, I wonder if you might want to go up. And she says, oh, can we not go back to your house? And he says, oh, I can't. I'm having some renovation work done. Because when she says to him, can we go back to your house? His narcissism says, you're challenging us because you're asking to do something that we are not suggesting. Also, that obviously could cause a problem because, and all of a sudden the wife enters the equation now, that compartment door opens, the wife magically reappears. And the narcissist has to keep these two people separate in the different compartments. So he comes up with this lie, which he believes, because also, and this is often very difficult for victims to understand this, that the majority of narcissists, when they tell lies, they believe it. It is their truth. It has to be, for them to act convincingly on it. Our brains are wired in a different way. We perceive reality in a different way to you so that it becomes the truth. So he says, no, can we, I booked a room upstairs, actually. Didn't want to be presumptuous. I was just going to stay overnight because I didn't want to drink and drive. He makes out that he's a nice guy, considerate like that. Oh yeah, sure, I'll stay. They stay, they have sex, and he gives her a great time. Why? Because his narcissism dictates that one of the best ways of getting a victim under control is to provide them with fantastic sex. Attentive, somehow he knew everything that she liked. He intuitively went there and did all the things that she enjoyed, and he then was considerate and kind and stayed the night, and the next morning says, well, that was great, I'll be in touch. And then he continues with the text messages and the meeting up. And he will continue doing that until such point as his narcissism feels that the new person is under control, so that he can then install her as the new intimate partner primary source, and then he disengages from the wife. He suddenly announces to her one day, I've had enough, I want a divorce, or he says, I'm moving out. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and the new prospect can be strung along, and she might find out that he's married. And so she confronts him, and he goes, well, I didn't want to say anything to you about it because I'm somewhat embarrassed by the fact that I still have to live with my wife because we've got children, I want to be there for them, and financially I can't afford to move out. It's another lie, but his narcissism selects on his behalf. The narcissist will say and do whatever is necessary to control everybody around them. And this is why a narcissist will say to you, for example, I've got a new car, it's black. No, actually it's white. Actually, it's orange. And I never said it was black in the first place, because the narcissist will shift second by second between whatever is necessary to be said or done in order to control you. And this is where the gaslighting comes from. And the gaslighting is a term that's utilized in devaluation for behavior which causes you to question your reality, so that the narcissist will say one thing and then deny that that's happened. Again, the majority of narcissists, when they do that, they do not stand there thinking, I know I said it, but I'm going to deny it. Isn't this hilarious? She's crying over it. He honestly believes it when he denies that he ever said it, because his narcissism governs that behavior. So the outset of this relationship, the love bombing that you've heard of, is a period of time whereby the narcissist identifies somebody who might, and it's only might, become the intimate partner primary source. And when I mentioned earlier on about there being different dynamics, in a narcissist fuel matrix, he will typically have the following people: a wife, a partner, a girlfriend who he might live with, the intimate partner primary source. That person will have enjoyed what's called the golden period, a period of idealization and seduction. They were drawn in, they became the girlfriend, they moved in together, everything was rosy in the garden of love. And during that time, the narcissist treats that person well, but everything that's being done is a manipulation, but it's benign. Compliments, flattery, expensive gifts, helping that person out when they fell over and injured their knee. The narcissist didn't do any of those things because he loves or cares. He does it because it's the best way of controlling somebody. Going back to the point that I made earlier, if I meet somebody in a bar and I'm interesting and magnetic and handsome and charming and interesting, she's going to be drawn to me. If I sit down and say, I'm a narcissistic psychopath and you're an effing ugly bitch, she's going to run away from me. So all of those nice things are done. None of them are genuine. People often make the mistake of thinking, well, surely he meant some of it. No, it is all a manipulation, but an unconscious one. And that person becomes the intimate partner primary source. And they're treated well for a number of months, a year, maybe 2 years, if they are, in inverted commas, lucky. And then they will be devalued. As the sun rises in the east and we're all going to die, the narcissist always devalues the intimate partner primary source. Why? Because either the fuel that you provide us, you provide so much of it because you're with us so much of the time, becomes stale, so we get fed up of you. Or if somehow you inadvertently ration it, you're not giving us the fuel often enough or as in large quantities, so we devalue you. So whichever route you do, you're going to end up devalued. And when you end up being devalued,
doesn't that send you into like a panic to try to give them more fuel?
Who, the victim?
Yeah, when it was happening, well, I'm just, you're reciting my entire life right now, so I'm really freaked out and a little tripped out right at the moment. But excuse me, when it was happening to me, when I was being devalued, I felt like in a panic almost to provide more supply, as much as I could think of. Whatever he likes, I tried to, be perfect all the time, have everything perfect for him when he would get home, etc. And because I was in a panic I could tell that I was, being, I don't know, devalued, I guess I could tell. Something inside me knew that something was up because he wasn't doing what he was doing before. So then it kind of sent me into a panic of wanting to try to make it better again. Is that normal?
No.
Is that what happens?
It is. I'll give you an example. Normal people can be ensnared by narcissists, but they don't have the addiction to the narcissist. So what happens is, if that normal person starts getting several hundred texts a day, the narcissist turning up at 7 a.m. with a great big bouquet of flowers and wanting to talk to that person every night for 3 hours at a time, that normal person will just go, whoa, this is too much. Sorry, no, but I don't want this anymore. And they will walk because they are not addicted.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Exactly. But think about it.
That's not normal, is it? That's not normal.
It isn't normal. If you view it objectively, somebody who bombards you with text messages isn't respecting your space. They're monopolizing your time. They want to talk to you for hours. It feels great. But why it feels great to you is this. as an empathic victim of a narcissist, you have an addiction to narcissists. Your addiction creates something called emotional thinking. And that doesn't mean that you're hysterical, but what it means is you don't see things logically. So your friend might say to you, so who's this guy you've met? Well, yeah, I've known him 10 days and he's bought me 3 gifts already and he texts me 50 times a day. We talk for hours on the telephone. He's wonderful. And the friend goes, don't you think that's a bit much? And you won't go, actually, do you know what? You're right. He's not respecting my boundaries, is he? And he's monopolizing my time. And that's not showing any emotional empathy for my situation. You're absolutely right. Thank you for pointing that out to me. I will now cease any involvement with this man ever again. That doesn't happen. What you do is you go, yeah, I could see how you might think it's a bit much, but it's only because he's so into me. Or, well, it's just great to have such a lovely man after the previous arsehole who I was with, who of course was
and he's my soulmate. So of course I want to talk to him all hours of the day and night.
And you're conned because you fail to realize that this behavior is unnatural and transgresses boundaries and all the other points that I've just made, various red flags. And instead, you end up being duped. Your emotional thinking wants you to feed your addiction to the narcissist. It is not interested in keeping you away. And so you end up thinking, I have met my soulmate. He's wonderful. And he's talked about marriage. And when you come out of it the other side, you look back and say, I can't believe that I was talking about marriage to this man within 10 days of meeting him. But at the time, it's like you're drunk. You lose insight as to what's actually going on. And friends might try and warn you and you won't listen because your emotional thinking is so high because you're interacting so much with the narcissist. And so when we are love bombing you, when we're spending time with you, when we're communicating with you, when we are occupying your every thought, that feeds the addiction. And basically, you lose insight as to what is going on. We have to get you under control as quickly as we possibly can because we are creatures that live for control. So the best way to get you under control, treat you nice. Say all the things that that resonate with you. Make the promises of taking you on a holiday, which may never manifest, and that's the future faking that goes on. Smear the ex. Oh, I'm so glad I've met you. My ex, she's a real crazy bitch, and you're so lovely and understanding. And she might get in touch with you. If she does, just let me know, but ignore her. She'll just be jealous. She doesn't want me to be happy. And so that's triangulation between you and the ex. And of course, that woman has been abused, and she might contact you and say, you want to stay away from him. What will you do? You won't go, oh, why is that? Oh, because he's done all this and he's a narcissist. Oh, thanks for telling me. I'm out of there. You'll actually go, he warned me about you. You're just envious of what he and I have got. And of course you think that way because here's this man who's treating you really well, taking you to your favorite restaurants, giving you great sex, telling you all the things that you love to hear, reading the books with you, and all of those manifestations. And you fall in love very quickly because what the narcissist is doing is mirroring yourself back at you. When people talk about the concept of the other half, people are actually seeking their other half. They're seeking a replicant of themselves, which sounds ironically narcissistic, but what you're looking for is someone of similar levels of physical attraction, similar levels of intelligence, similar earning power, similar level of compassion, interest in the world and hobbies. And what we do is we mirror yourself back at you by being the very things that you like and are. So you are actually perversely falling in love with yourself. That's why it hurts so much when it goes wrong, because you think that you found the perfect match because we create the illusion for you of that perfect match, but it's an illusion, but you don't realize that. And so the love bombing is designed to get you under control. You fall for it because of your addiction. And then when you are installed as that intimate partner primary source, you will be devalued. And sometimes, dependent upon the type of narcissist, he just doesn't talk to you and you don't know why. Rather than do this, well, I don't like the way that you're treating me, so I'm leaving. Empaths don't do that because you're driven by your addiction. Your addiction hijacks your empathic traits. And you talked about how you felt the desire to try and fix things and make things right. Your empathic trait of healing and fixing causes you not to walk away from the now starting to be abusive relationship. You want to repair it because you've been given a glimpse of this golden period, and you think, well, if it's happened once, I can get back to it. All I need to do is work harder. And of course, you're not helped by the idiots on the internet that say, if you pour your love at him, love him harder, that'll bring him round. Nonsense. You can't achieve that with a narcissist. But what happens is, rather than walk away from the problem, driven by your own addiction, which you don't realize that's there, driven by your emotional thinking, which you don't realize is happening, you think, I can fix this. And what then makes it even worse for you is you will be granted what I call respite periods, where the narcissist is suddenly nice to you again. It might be for a few hours, it might be a day, it might be a fortnight. And you think, oh, goody gumdrops, I've got the situation back, I've rescued it. And so all I need to do is, if I do what I did the next time he gets in a mood, it'll be solved. The problem is, the next time he starts getting moody with you and giving silent treatments, you try and weave the magic again, but this time it doesn't work. And then you find out, and then you go through all of the devaluing behavior, which, dependent upon the type of narcissist that you're with, the school of narcissist, ranges from physical violence, rape, silent treatments, either absent, where he just disappears for days on end and can't be contacted, or present silent treatments. He sits there sulking. Triangulation. Suddenly starts talking about this lady at work. Seems innocuous, but it's not. Circular conversations. You try and get the narcissist to discuss something, just goes round and round and round. Word salads. Intimidation. Threat. Infidelity. And there's a long, long list of these manipulations. Not all narcissists malignly manipulate in the same way. Some do have similar behaviors. So, for instance, all narcissists can use silent treatments. Some use it more than others. Some narcissists never use physical violence. Others use it to the extremes. Some will use pity plays. I know you're going to leave me. Why are you always horrible to me? After everything I've done for you, how can you treat me this way? And when you enter this period of devaluation, it's perplexing, confusing, and bewildering. Because first of all, you think, what have I done wrong? Why has it gone wrong? I don't quite understand what's happened. And rather than walk away from it, driven by that addiction, you remain in it, trying to fix it, trying to make it work. And all that you're doing is embarking upon a fool's errand, because it's important for people to understand that, as I mentioned, we are born out of control. You can never make a narcissist do something with any guarantee of success, because we have to be the controllers. You have to be the controlled. And so if you think, well, I can manipulate the narcissist in doing it into what I want, you're mistaken, because you can't. And if you do something and it works, it's only because the narcissist wanted it to happen. But people, again, are misled by the poor information that's out there into being told that you can manipulate the narcissist to do certain things. You can't. And moreover, why would you bother? You should get away from the narcissist. So you enter that period of devaluation. Now, as that intimate partner primary source, the devaluation is the roller coaster ride that people often experience. Horrible to you, then wonderful to you, back to being horrible. It's up, it's down. Some people talk about, oh, it's a tempestuous and passionate relationship. No, it's not. There's a narcissist involved. Oh, it's fire and ice. No, there's a narcissist involved. And those euphemistic expressions only make it harder for victims to understand and recognize what's going on. When you're in the devaluation, typically the narcissist will be cheating on you. Not always, but usually. During that devaluation, it does not mean that you will be disengaged from, or as some people call it, discard. I prefer disengage. Some people can remain in a marriage to a narcissist for decades. Why? 1, they don't escape the narcissist. 2, the narcissist doesn't disengage from them. And that narcissist could be cheating on them repeatedly, beating them up, taking their money, never letting them go anywhere, but they don't leave because, driven by their addiction, which might capitalize on the fact that they're frightened of the narcissist, that they feel that they've got nowhere to go, that they're financially dependent on that narcissist, they don't escape. Why is it that the narcissist doesn't get rid? because there hasn't been one of the disengagement triggers. There are 5 of them. The most common one is you're replaced. So as I mentioned earlier on, the narcissist may well be cultivating a replacement for you. And if that replacement ripens, if I can describe it that way, therein you're out and you're disengaged from. Sometimes that just doesn't happen, but that's the most common reason why the narcissist gets rid of you. Sometimes the narcissist gets rid of you because you break down and you don't function any longer, and therefore you're of no use to the narcissist, and you break down because of the abuse that you suffer. The third reason is you've exposed the narcissist in some way. You've perhaps realized what's going on, and you start telling everybody about his behavior, and the opinion turns against him, and therefore his narcissism recognizes he can't control you effectively any longer, so he controls you by getting rid of you, and then he has to go and find somebody else. The fourth way that it occurs is if you cause massive wounding to the narcissist in some way. And the fifth way is basically the narcissist perceives that you've somehow worked him out. You might not necessarily know that he's a narcissist, but you started to distance yourself from him. You're not responding in the way that you used to. And so any one of those 5 triggers can cause disengagement, and the narcissist gets rid of you. And disengagement happens more often than escape. Escape is when you go, disengagement is when we get rid of you. So the narcissist disengages from you, which means you're kicked to the curb. Sometimes you don't even know that it's happened, and you suddenly find out from a friend, I've just seen your boyfriend running around town with Blondie. What? And thereafter, if you have been disengaged from, unless you have the misfortune to be on the receiving end of a malice campaign, which is pretty rare, if the narcissist has got somebody new, you will actually be left alone, so long as you don't kick the hornet's nest. Because he's now got that person who was the intimate partner secondary source, the woman on the side, his mistress, the booty call, whatever you want to describe it as, she's replaced you. You're now the former intimate partner primary source. She has been elevated to primary source. She's going to go through the hellish ride that you've just had, but she doesn't realize it. He is getting everything from the prime aims met by her. She's idolized. Oh, my wife, even though you did everything you possibly could for him, you're now painted black. And everything that you've ever done is wiped from the record, and he only remembers the bad because we operate with that black and white thinking. Everything she does is absolutely splendid and wonderful. So let's take the new individual who's come along. She's got a large nose, and she knows that she's got a large nose. And she says, oh, I'm a bit self-conscious about my nose. It's a bit of a large hooter I've got here. She's painted white. She's in the golden period. She's idealized. The narcissist will say to her, that's a beautiful nose. It's an imperious nose. It suits the frame of your face. I love it. When she enters devaluation, oi, Pinocchio, big nose. You look like a witch. She goes, but I thought you liked my nose. No, I didn't. Because when she says to him, I thought that you liked my nose, she is challenging him by suggesting he's done something wrong. And when you challenge a narcissist or you wound a narcissist, wounding is when you ignore us, or you don't return our call, or you don't reply to our text message, or you forget our birthday. So wounding is basically ignoring us. A challenge is where you respond, so you provide us with fuel. So it might be, for instance, saying in that example, with irritation, I thought you liked my nose. The irritation gives fuel to the narcissist, and we need that. But her suggestion, I thought you liked my nose, suggests that he's done something wrong. And that offends his sense of entitlement. It's pinning accountability on him. His narcissism, if it had a voice, would say this. She has just challenged us. She is threatening our control. Alert, that must not happen. We now have to assert control over her. Utilize the first line of the narcissistic defense, denial. So he says, I never said that. And you know that he did. So, and this is where the gaslighting comes from. And so you say to him, yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. And it's the back and forth. And eventually you're sick of it and you go, forget it. You never said it. All right, you're right. I'm wrong. When you do that, you have just ceded control to him. Everything's all right again in the world of the narcissist until the next time you wound, or you challenge. And when you go through your devaluation, you are invariably wounding and challenging, and often you don't even realize that you're doing it because you don't look at the world in the same way as the narcissist. And so what happens is, that makes it even more complicated for you, is when you're in the devaluation, you're painted black, you can suddenly be painted white and you think, oh, everything's okay. But then, because the narcissist is spending time with his mistress and she's painted white, you become painted black again, and you've not even done anything. So your status, either white or black, can shift without you having any idea whatsoever what's caused it. You could be, and I often explain the example of, you make the narcissist a chocolate cake when you're painted white. And he says, what a wonderful chocolate cake that is. Oh, thank you for making me that chocolate cake. It's my favorite cake ever. You're brilliant. Why does he say that? It isn't because chocolate cake's his favorite. It's because his narcissism says, tell her that it's your favorite because she's painted white, and her happy response signals she's under your control and she gives you fuel. 1 week later, you're painted black, but you don't realize that's happened. And you decide, I'll make him another cake because he really liked my chocolate cake. Because in your world, you're consistent in your behavior. You bring him the cake. Now, like the big nose, everything you do is viewed through that lens of being painted black. What's this? I've made you a chocolate cake. You really like them. No, I don't. First line of defense, because you've just challenged him by telling him he likes chocolate cake. I prefer Victoria Sponge. What are you talking about? You've challenged him again. I've always liked Victoria Sponge. Why do you never listen to me? But I made you a chocolate cake last week. No, you didn't. And you're thinking, I'm sure I did. And it comes to a point with the abuse, you will start to doubt yourself as to whether you actually did make that chocolate cake, because the narcissist is so insistent that he's right and you're wrong.
And that's what gaslighting is, right? That's when they're gaslighting you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the dynamic is seduction, which incorporates the love bombing. You have the golden period, everything's wonderful. And you start off as a tertiary source, you become a secondary source, and you then become the candidate intimate partner secondary source, which means you're about to be crowned the primary source. You can lose that status. The narcissist could choose somebody else. You become the primary source. It's not guaranteed, but if you do, you will then be devalued and you might be disengaged from. Now, let's say you're going through a particularly horrendous devaluation and it's the 10th year of this, and a friend puts you on to work by this chap called HG Tudor, and you read it and it starts to make sense, and your friend helps you escape from the narcissist. What happens then? Well, this is when a particular form of hoovering occurs. When you leave the narcissist, you cause the narcissist a huge problem. If you're the primary source, you probably provide 70, 80, maybe even 90% of the fuel needs, character traits and residual benefits, the prime aims. If you walk, you've just punctured a huge hole in his fuel pipeline. He could try and get somebody new, but that's a little bit like trying to rebuild a new pipeline from scratch as quickly as possible. It'll take too long. He could try and get fuel from all the other people in his fuel matrix, but he only gets smaller amounts off them, and it would take too much effort to suddenly boost them up to a huge amount. Friends, family, colleagues, the man who works in the hot dog stand. So instead, the narcissism says, she's turned off the pipeline, we need to turn it back on. Hoover her. And so you get what's called the initial grand hoover, which is where the narcissist goes hell for leather to bring you back into the relationship with him. So let's say you're husband and wife, you walk saying you want a divorce and you go and stay at your sister's. He knows about that. He suddenly turns up, and dependent upon the type of narcissist he is, if you have a lower lesser, very violent, think absolute loser, trailer trash, he turns up, kicks the doors in, grabs you by the hair and drags you back to the house and says, you leave again, I'll kick the crap out of you. A mid-range narcissist, type B, crybaby. Why have you left me? Please come back. I'm sorry for whatever I've done. I'll change. I promise. I'll go to therapy. Just sit down and talk to me. And dependent upon which type of narcissist you're with, there'll be the use of physical violence, possibly. there'll be threats, there'll be promises to change, there'll be grandiosity. Look, what's all this silliness about? Let's book a holiday and go away and talk about this and sort it out. That other woman, that was a mistake. I don't know what was going on. I've been stressed at work. Please forgive me. She means nothing to me. And the narcissist fights to get you back and often succeeds. Why? Because your emotional thinking is already high, because you've been in the relationship with the narcissist, you've been interacting with him. And therefore, rather than see things clearly, you go back. How many times do you hear about instances of people who are the victims of physical violence, physical domestic abuse? It takes them 8 or 10 times before they even leave, and then they go back. And everybody else goes, why? Why are they going back? He beats the living daylights out of her. And what will she say? Well, he always says he's sorry about it. And he's obviously got his own problems. And I'm his wife, and I should be there for him. That's all emotional thinking driven by the addiction. Because quite simply, that individual has beat you up 8 times. That is a habitual and repeated pattern of abuse. It's disordered behavior. It's not a one-off. Normal people can do things wrong. Empaths can do things wrong when they suffer a reduction in their emotional empathy. Empaths aren't saints, but they don't do it habitually. And somebody that engages in a pattern of behavior towards you, whether it's ignoring you, whether it's belittling you, whether it's punching you in the face, whether it's repeatedly cheating on you, whether it's all of those things in that pattern of behavior, when you're in the middle of it all, your emotional thinking doesn't let you see what's going on, and you excuse it. You make excuses for it. You're conned by what the narcissist tells you. Yeah, he shouts at me, but he's just got a stressful time at work. And yeah, he sits and sulks. It's just his character. And I guess sometimes, I get on his case a bit. Well, of course you do. You're being abused and you started to fight back a bit. But then even that works against you, because the self-flagellating nature of an empathic victim is you blame yourself. And you say, well, I can kind of understand why he went nuts at me, because I got on his case about what he's been doing. So I kind of blame myself here. It's not your fault, but you do end up blaming yourself. And so the narcissist wants to hoover you back in. And the hoovers take hundreds of different forms, but they basically fall into 4 main hoover conduits. Direct physical. The narcissist comes to see you. Please come back, or you better come back, or I'll beat you. Indirect physical. Hanging around outside your house, staring at you through the window, driving past where you are, waiting outside of your work. Electronic hoovers. Text messages, social media messages, telephone calls. And the 4th one, hoover by proxy. The friend of the narcissist comes, can't you guys sort this out? His mum comes to see you. Look, I know you've had your differences, but surely you should try again for the sake of the children. And those people do it well-intentioned, but they don't realize what's really going on. And those are the 4 conduits that are used to hoover you. And usually when you've escaped, the narcissist will hoover you to try and draw you back in. Now, let's say that you escape, and this time you hold fast on it, and he hoovers you, but you resist them and you don't go back. That will force the narcissist to go elsewhere. And he goes and finds that new girlfriend, and you don't hear anything from him. If, however, you start going around telling all of your friends what an evil individual he is, word gets back to him. What does that do? It threatens his sense of control. You have come back on the radar. You threaten his control. His narcissism says, my ex-girlfriend is telling people that I beat her up and that I'm an abuser. How dare she do that? That's just not true, because the narcissism won't let him know what he's actually done. He might know that he slapped you, but in his world, you deserved it because you did something which merited being treated that way. And so when you're telling other people about his behavior, that threatens his control of not only you, but the other people. You're kicking the hornet's nest. What does he do? Smear campaign. He goes around telling everybody that you're a whack job and you abused him. And he believes it. Why? Because the narcissist actually believes that he's the victim and you're the perpetrator. Because from the narcissistic perspective, when you don't do what he wants, i.e., you threaten the narcissist's control, you are the perpetrator because you're doing something bad. You're not being compliant. And so consequently, in the aftermath, if you're going around telling those people, the narcissist might be with somebody new. He doesn't want you back because you're painted black and he's in the golden period with the new primary source. But you then get the malign hoovers, which are, he rings you up and say, what the F do you think you've been saying about me? How dare you? Or you better give me that money back that you owe me. Or stay away from me saying these things, or I'm going to get a restraining order against you and call the cops. And you're thinking, but you're the one that's giving me a hard time. And what it is that if you're doing something, and sometimes you don't even realize what you've done, if that threatens the control of the narcissist will respond in a particular way to assert control over you. We assert control over you in 3 ways, and all of them are a form of manipulation. The most common one is direct, and it's either directly good, a benign manipulation, taking you on holiday, giving you great sex, buying you new clothes, complimenting you, or a direct malign manipulation, physical violence, sexual violence, word salad, circular conversation, accusations, insults, provocation, fury. The second is to assert control over you indirectly. So what happens is, rather than assert control against you directly, we complain about you to other people and they agree. So the narcissist might say, you know, my ex, she's been going around town saying that I'm a wife beater. Well, that's well out of order, mate. After she hit you with that cricket bat that time, which of course was a lie. Yeah, I know. She's crazy, isn't she? His friend agrees with him. That agreement allows the narcissist, from his perspective, to feel like he's got control over the ex. So he's now got indirect control. In other instances, it might be whinging to his family members. She's left me, the bitch. She's done this. In those circumstances, mummy's little soldier, come and have some alphabetti spaghetti. I'm ever so sorry that's happened. Tell me all about it, my son. That response is fuel. It allows the narcissist to feel that he's got control over the ex. The third assertion of control is we assert control over you by no longer doing so. So we decide if we're not going to bother with you anymore, then we are actually in control. And so often the narcissist will just decide. So an example of that is you're having an argument on the telephone with the narcissist and you won't back down. He can't assert control over you indirectly. There's nobody around. He just puts the phone down on you. He's now asserted control over you by no longer trying to do so. Bump, phone goes down, I win. You ring him back, he ignores you, because by ignoring you, he's asserting control over you. It's a little bit like putting your hands over your eyes and saying, if I can't see you, you can't see me. Again, it's that unusual and twisted perspective. But those are the 3 ways that the narcissist will assert control over you. And you will experience all of those each and every day when you live with a narcissist. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad in terms of direct. Sometimes it'll be a withdrawal, sometimes it'll be indirect, and you'll hear about it later. But all of those will be used against you. Every time a narcissist interacts with another person or thinks about interacting with another person, it is a manipulation, because the narcissist must have control over you. So you might find yourself the victim of a smear campaign or malign hoovers thereafter. One thing to point out is that many people fall into the trap of thinking that the narcissist is hell-bent on your destruction. They're not. People think that because what's actually happening is they're being misled by their emotional thinking, which causes them to think that's what's going to happen. But also, they keep doing things which challenge the narcissist's control, so the narcissist keeps responding. Very few narcissists sit down with a master plan of how they're going to destroy you. Why? Narcissism is not about controlling you a week ago or 3 weeks in the future. It's about controlling you now. and now, and now. It's a self-defense mechanism which is designed to control you in the instant. You will often think that the narcissist is plotting and planning, because if you were to be manipulative, you'd have to think about it. But that's where the victim makes a classic mistake of imposing their worldview on that of the narcissist. And it doesn't work like that. The narcissist basically operates on an eat what you kill basis. Whatever's in front, he has to control. So often, somebody who perhaps is the mistress of a narcissist thinks, I wonder if he thinks about me when he's with his wife. No, he doesn't. You're gone. It's like you've disappeared off the face of the earth. He will tell you, oh, yeah, I slept with my wife, but it was you that I was thinking of. He's only saying that to bring you under control. He was happy as Larry with his wife. You wouldn't even enter the equation. But when you ask him about, oh, do you still have sex with your wife? The narcissist might say, well, yes, I do, but only because I have to. And don't worry, it's you that I'm thinking of. And that victim, not all, but many, accept that because they think, well, he told me. And then, of course, they're caught up in the addiction. And so afterwards, you can be hoovered. And a narcissist doesn't always hoover you to bring you back into the relationship. The narcissist might just hoover you to get some fuel from you, to know that you're under control. So when I've talked about the fuel matrix, there might be a narcissist who's cheating on his wife with 3 different women. And he doesn't need to make any of those the replacement for the wife yet. So he spends a bit of time with one, maybe an afternoon with her, and then he sends a few text messages back and forth with the other one, keeps that plate spinning, and then he engages in a telephone call with the other one. And he's running around asserting control over these various appliances. And it's not just romantic ones. When he's good to his mum, he's not good because he loves his mum. He's doing it because his narcissism decides the best way to control your mother is to be the dutiful son. And for mid-range and greater narcissists, it's part of the facade. So the narcissist is often seen by his mates, oh, he's a really good guy. Yeah, he would do anything for anybody. And you get triangulated with that facade because he treats you terribly behind closed doors. And to everybody else, he's a really good guy. And when you try and tell other people about what you're suffering, they go, what? John's been treating you like that? That doesn't sound like him to me. Are you sure you're not overthinking it? Perhaps you've misread what he was talking about, particularly with some of the subtler forms of manipulation. And because people don't understand narcissism and they fall into the trap of, well, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, no smoke without fire. You must have done something to provoke him. Nobody responds like that for no reason. Well, actually, that's true. Nobody responds like that for no reason, but they respond like that because it's narcissism at work. So that's some of the dynamic, and that's just with really one and a bit, the intimate partner primary source and intimate partner secondary source within a romantic setting. There are dirty little secrets. There are the familial dynamics that I could tell you all about, social ones, neighborly ones, business ones. And they follow some people, for instance, non-intimate secondary sources, friends, can be treated very well by the narcissist all through their lives. They get the odd flash of something not quite right, but largely they never have a problem. Why? Because the narcissist only intermittently interacts with that person, so they've less of an opportunity to cause a problem for the narcissist, and they form part of that all-important facade. So friends are treated well. But sometimes that's not always the case. But it's a huge, huge subject. I'm conscious as well that you may have further questions for me, and listeners may have, and you've all listened very patiently to me while I've spoken about those various dynamics.
Yes, I would actually, because we have a half hour left with you.
Mm-hmm.
If Wendy doesn't have any more questions herself, Wendy,
You just described like the last 10 years of my life. So my head is a little spinning at the moment. I'm a little triggered. And how long is this going to hurt? I guess is my next question, but you probably can't answer that. So
I can.
All right, give it a go.
Okay.
Wait, hold on one second. I want to be able to, at least the last 20 minutes that HG is here, I want to get, because people in the chat also have questions, and I want to get to some of their questions as well. Okay.
Fine. So quickly, I guess, tell me how long.
Certainly. The go-to response when you find out that you're dealing with a narcissist is what I call go-so. Get out, stay out. Once you know, you go. If you impose no contact, a variety of things happen. First of all, you keep the narcissist away from you, so the narcissist can no longer hurt you. You build a very solid no contact, and my materials tell you how to do that. I won't go into that now, but basically the principle is you have to keep that narcissist away from you.
Yeah, I've done that.
So you do that.
Yeah.
But here is where most people don't understand what no contact means. No contact doesn't mean just staying away from the narcissist and not communicating with them. It's wider than that. It means you do not spend physical time with the narcissist. You do not communicate with the narcissist, nor do you even attempt to communicate with the narcissist, nor do you allow the narcissist to even try to communicate with you. So people say, well, he sends me texts, but I never answer them. That's not no contact. He rings me up, but I don't answer them. That's not no contact. You also have to ensure that you don't do anything in relation to that narcissist, which means you don't go and look on his social media. You don't sit outside his house to see what's going on. You don't start playing detective to find out who else he'd been seeing. You don't need to do any of that. Fourthly, you stop talking about the narcissist to family and friends. Yes, there's an initial period where you have to get off your chest, but after a while, it becomes redundant. I'm sure that you had conversation after conversation going over old ground time and time again. Why has he done that? What does this mean? And it goes round and round. And finally, you have to stop thinking about the narcissist. That's hard, but achievable. But if you do the first four things, not spend physical time, don't communicate, don't do things in relation to, and don't talk about the narcissist, the fifth one, not thinking, becomes easier. If you impose that no contact regime and keep the narcissist away from you, and you keep yourself away from the narcissist, not only will you stop the abusive behaviors, but you will reduce your emotional thinking. Every time you interact with the narcissist in those 5 ways I've just told you about, you increase your emotional thinking. And this happens. You increase your emotional thinking, which means you don't listen to logic, which means you'll interact more with the narcissist in some way. It heightens your emotional thinking. You don't listen to logic. You interact all the more. And you get stuck on the narcissist wheel of misery, going round and round and round. So you might not have seen the narcissist or even spoken to him, yet you're still hurt and upset. Why? Because you're talking about him all the time. You're watching what he's doing on social media, and you're allowing him to dominate your thoughts. Why did he treat me this way? What did this mean? This time last year, we were on holiday in Mystique. You've got to delete all of that. It takes discipline and effort. My work gives you the tools that you can wield to achieve that. When you stop interacting across those areas, you reduce that emotional thinking. What that then means is you make room in your head for logic. So it gets easier and easier to spot when your emotional thinking is trying to mislead you into doing something and interacting, and you stop it. I'm going to go and tell the narcissist that he's a douchebag, and I'm going to tell everybody about the way he's behaved. No, that's a breach of no contact. I'm not going to do it. You've just closed down a form of interaction. You starve the addiction. You reduce your emotional thinking. But even better, what then happens is your emotional thinking, when it's powerful, makes you feel a particular way. With some people, it's angry. With some, it's frustrated. With others, it's hurt and upset. Why? Because when it does that, it creates that emotion to cause you to act on it. If you're angry, what might you do? Confront the narcissist. What have you just done? Breach no contact. You're upset. You ring your friend up. Can I just talk to you about Peter? It's Christmas. I miss him. Tears. What have you just done? You've breached no contact because you're talking about the narcissist. You increase your emotional thinking. You increase emotional thinking, you'll stay unhappy. You go no contact. You reduce that emotional thinking and you bring it down to the lowest level. You can never completely get rid of it, but you get it down to the lowest level. You'll stop being upset. You'll stop pining for the narcissist. You'll stop getting angry and you will feel nothing. And that's what I call zero impact. And my work gives you all of the tools to stop the narcissist from hoovering you, to discipline yourself to stay away from the narcissist, to put in place the total no contact regime, to reduce your emotional thinking, to understand what it is. And I guarantee you, because this happened with many, many, many of my clients, they say, when I first came to UHG, I was in a mess. I was contemplating taking my life. Now I don't even give the narcissist a second thought. I don't even feel angry about him. I hardly ever think about him. When I do, I don't feel anything. I didn't think I'd get there, but you can. No contact, reduce your emotional thinking, and you will feel better. You'll have heard, time's a great healer. It's not quite right. Time away from the thing that hurts you is a great healer. Stay away from the narcissist and keep yourself away from the narcissist. And that's how you'll get better. And the sooner you do that, and the greater the adherence to that regime, the quicker you'll feel better. It'll take you a few months, you'll get there. What people do mistakenly is they keep breaching no contact, but they don't realize that's what they're doing. They think it's okay to look at his Facebook profile. You're just heightening your emotional thinking. You're taking more of the drug, but you don't realize you're doing it. Talking about it all the time with your friends. Oh, I'm in no contact. No, you're not. You're talking about the narcissist. Looking at the pictures of when you were together, that's a breach of no contact. And I take people through all of these things in the material, and it'll help them. And that's what you need to do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Diane, do you want to field questions?
Yes. Okay, so I know Emily probably wasn't here for the first panel, HG, but she's asked if you were diagnosed with NPD. Did you actually get a diagnosis of that? Because I do know that, and we did explain that you did go into therapy for a reason. We talked about that, but she wants to know if you were actually diagnosed.
Yes, I'm diagnosed. You said earlier on that I'm self-proclaimed. People often make that mistake. I'm not. I'm self-aware. Okay. But yes, I have the diagnosis of narcissism and psychopathy.
Okay. All right. So if anyone has a question, I've been trying to, some people were asking questions, but I said, if we could wait till the end. If you have a question, please type it in the chat and I will relay the message, because I don't think that HG is actually looking at the chat.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, he's not. Are narcissists ever aware of their manipulation? Because I did want to ask that, because when you were explaining all the things like hoovering, and I wanted to say, is that all something that you are calculating as you do it, or does that just come naturally? Because it seems like such hard work to me.
Well, it does, because you're not a narcissist, and I hear that comment repeatedly. It must be so tiring. It's not to me. I'm well practiced at it. This is how I've been created. Imagine I'm a machine. I've been created this way. So you wouldn't use your iron to toast your bread. It wouldn't do it effectively. But your iron is brilliant at getting creases out of your clothing. I'm designed to control and manipulate. You're not. So it seems tiring to you. Most self-aware narcissists, such as myself, I operate through some instinct, but mainly calculation. We're very rare. And what I do is I answer for what the majority of narcissists do, and they're not aware that they are manipulating. It's very difficult for people to often understand that, but it works like this. It's a self-defense mechanism. If you heard a loud bang now, you wouldn't do this. Oh, a loud bang. That might mean a bomb has gone off. There could be debris and shrapnel flying through the air. I better make myself small. Because if you think about it, it's too late. You've been cut in half. You instinctively shrink down. Why? Self-defense mechanism. Narcissism is the same. If the narcissist had to do this, my wife is asking me where I've been because I've been out late. That's threatening my control. I have to have control over her. So what I'll do is I'll just deny that I've been anywhere and tell her to shut the fuck up. And I'll just be nasty towards her. That'll get control over. So I'll do that. By the time he's thought all of that through, he's already lost control. So in the same way as your self-defense mechanism makes you shrink down automatically when you hear a loud bang, the narcissism has to be instantaneous to assert control. So most manipulators don't actually know that they manipulate. If you get somebody who says to you, oh, yes, I'm a master manipulator, etc., etc., they may well be a narcissist, but they don't actually know what type of narcissist they are. I tell you about my manipulations, but you don't know who I am. I would never admit that to anybody who knows me in real life. Why? That's what a moron would do, because I'm handing you my power. So you occasionally get, I call them the mid-ranger who would be king, who says, oh, I'm a master manipulator and I'm a puppeteer and this Svengali character. And if you were to ask them, well, how do you actually manipulate people? They would either not be able to tell you, or they come out with some cock and bull story which couldn't be independently verified because they're fantasists. And what they do is they actually do manipulate, but don't realize they do it. They'll do it through silent treatments, aggression, sulking, circular conversations, but they don't realize, they think they're some kind of Machiavellian Bond villain that sits on a hollowed out volcano plotting the downfall. That's television that creates that image. Even for me, as an aware manipulator, if I want to cause an outcome in 6 months' time, that's actually very difficult because there are so many variables, and it takes a huge amount of resource, guile, and intellect to do that. And narcissism's not about planning things 6 months down the line. Occasionally it can be, but most of it's about the control in the here and the now. And therefore, because that's what's needed, most narcissists don't have the inherent ability for themselves to do that. They don't have the intelligence, and they don't have the resource. So their narcissism, like the automatic pilot on a plane, steps in and does it for them. So in short, most manipulators, 99.9% of them, the narcissists, don't know they're manipulating. You think that they know what they're doing because you're looking at it from your viewpoint. You, as a non-narcissist, know when you're manipulative. So you think he must know, but he doesn't.
Okay, I have a couple more questions. Okay, will someone who has been in a romantic relationship with a narcissist, how likely would it be for them to fall in love with another narcissist?
Highly likely, dependent upon whether they ensure that once they're free of the first narcissist, they basically stay away from dating and romantic relationships for a good 6 months as a total no contact. They need to drain that emotional thinking. What happens is they escape one.
6 months. 6 months? How about 5 years?
But I bet you've not been total no contact during that time.
Okay, mind your business. You just mind your business right there, HG.
So what you need to ensure is that you do a solid 6 months. And so some people, it might be a bit longer, some people slightly shorter. But what happens is they're ensnared by the narcissist leaves them, okay? And their emotional thinking is still high at that point. And they go and meet somebody 3 weeks later because they fall for rubbish such as the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody new. No, it's not. It's to stay away from any of those things. And just as an aside, don't bother with online dating. They are absolute hunting grounds for our kind, and you'll just be swarmed by our kind. Meet people in a conventional way so that you can gauge them, you can verify what they are, you can take your time. You people as empaths are susceptible. It's nothing to do with your level of intelligence. I'm not insulting intelligence. I'm sure many very clever people listening. It's all to do. I have clients of mine, there's somebody who worked for NASA, I deal with CEOs, stockbrokers, professors. They get caught out. Intelligence is no defense to this. It's having that innate addiction. And if your emotional thinking is high, no matter what you read and understand about narcissism, you'll ignore it because your emotional thinking will take you away from that library of material. But if you beat down your emotional thinking, create that fire break, and then 6 months later, when you start going out and looking for dates, you will spot the narcissists more quickly. Why? Your emotional thinking isn't getting in the way. You've got to get it down first, though. And the way you do that is you stay away from the narcissists. How do you do that? Well, you might say, well, it's impossible to completely stay away from them. It is. But the biggest danger to you is bumping into one romantically. So if you're not going out dating, you're less likely to find one. If you stay off dating apps, you're less likely to find one. If somebody asks you out for a drink at that early stage, you go, thank you, but no. 6 months isn't long. Might feel like it, but it isn't.
All right.
Okay. Wendy, you're cracking me up. Okay. So, okay.
There's confusion in the chat. I want to make sure that everybody understands that I'm not talking about Scott. Scott is not the narc that I'm talking about. Scott is a wonderful human being. He's an incredible man. He was an incredible husband. We're still very close. He's not the narc that I'm talking about. So there was confusion there. Not that it's anybody's business, but apparently there was confusion there. So I wanted to make sure I cleared it up. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, Randy. I didn't know you were here because I was trying to hold on to some questions. Let me see. I've got to go back now again. Oh, boy. Oh, no, I lost the question. Oh, thank you, Guy and Jackie. Thank you, HG Tudor, for sharing. your knowledge with us. Much appreciated. Thank you, Jackie, for coming.
You're very
Okay,
welcome.
I lost that question that I was going to ask you in the chat. I scrolled back too far and now I cannot find it. All right. So does anybody else have any questions? Or if you asked the question, can you ask it again? Because I think I just lost it. Okay, please ask about children with a narc, how to separate. Can a narcissist enjoy smells, the touch of soft fabrics and things like that?
Not in the way that you do. We utilize those things for the purpose of triangulation, so that we are effectively empty, and what we are chameleons. So we will say that we like the scent of lemongrass because saying that causes you to respond favorably to us. To somebody else, we say we can't stand it, it stinks, in order to provoke them. We will face whatever way needs to be faced in order to, so we can say, oh, that feels smooth, but we don't have the same range of emotions as you do. We have mainly negative ones.
Okay, so, all right. So Turquoise asks, what is a narcissist thinking when I ignore him back and talk to other men?
Okay, 2 levels to this. The unconscious level, his narcissism would be saying this: she's ignoring us, that's wounding us. How dare she? She's threatening our control. We must tell the narcissist to do something. Therefore, we will tell the narcissist that she's an ignorant bitch and that he deserves better. So the narcissist then thinks, what an ignorant bitch ignoring me. Different type of narcissist, the narcissism will be exactly the same. She's ignoring us, we're being wounded, she's threatening our control. But this time, because it's a different flavor of narcissist, different school of narcissist, allow the narcissist to think, why is she being so horrible to me? Go over and ask her, is anything the matter? So what the narcissist is consciously aware of will vary, but unconsciously it will be the same. Our control is being threatened. But most narcissists aren't aware of what's going on unconsciously, but that's what's driving it. So the narcissist will say to you, I can change. I want to make things right. And when he says that, he honestly believes it. He's not thinking, yeah, I'll say I'll change, but I won't. He honestly believes it, but he won't do it, or he'll only do it for a short period of time, because his narcissism will only allow him to do it for a short period of time until he feels that he's got control, and then it'll stop, because our narcissism wants the maximum return for the minimum of effort. So what the narcissist thinks is actually different, dependent on the type of narcissist, and is separate from what really is driving that behavior. What drives our behavior is the need for control, the need for fuel, the need for control. Everything we do is for those 2 things. And then also behind that, character traits and residual benefits for the prime aims. But control and fuel are the most important things.
Okay. Mama Three Girls asks, do narcissists have empathy? If not, then how can they feel the pain or hurt they've inflicted?
We don't have emotional empathy. Some of us have cognitive empathy. So, for example, I have learned through watching the behaviors of other people, and because of the level of my intelligence, that in certain situations, the most appropriate thing for me to do is when I see that somebody has water leaking from their eyes, those are tears. That means that they're upset. That means that they've suffered in some way. Therefore, the correct response for me is to say, are you all right? Whether I do that depends on whether I deem it appropriate or not to do it. I don't care. I don't care at all about what that has happened to that person. What I care about is control. And if I determine that by being pleasant to them and appear to care, if that allows me to control them, I'll do it. But when you see somebody crying, you instinctively want to go and comfort them. You feel that reaction. That's your emotional empathy. We don't have that. Some narcissists wouldn't do anything at all because they have neither emotional empathy or cognitive empathy. They just look at you almost with the blank expression, what are you doing? They can't compute it. Other narcissists, mid-range or greater, who have cognitive empathy, have enough about them to work out. And the extent to which the response matches the circumstances varies. So sometimes you get a slight disconnect because the narcissism hasn't quite worked out the correct response. So I know if I saw an old lady lying down in the street, it's likely that she's injured and she'd want some assistance. I don't feel that she needs the assistance. I think that she does. I operate intellectually, not through feelings, because I don't have any emotional empathy.
Okay, here's a question from Joy Lang. She says, does a narcissist ever really move on? It's been 23 years. I can't let my husband know where I live. He still asks our grown children.
No. From the narcissistic perspective, when you come into our fuel matrix, you belong to us until the day you die or we die. That doesn't mean that we're going to interact with you every single day, but it means we essentially reserve the right to do so. The way to counter that is through a total no contact regime, because ultimately, if you make it too difficult for a narcissist to contact you, you'll force the narcissist to go elsewhere. Think of it like a burglar casing a house. He walks past it on the Monday, the doors and windows are bolted, the burglar alarm is on, there's a Rottweiler and a CCTV. He goes past Tuesday, it's the same. He goes past Wednesday, it's the same. Goes by Thursday, it's the same. By Friday, he needs to get some money. And he thinks, well, that house is the same. I'll try the one next door instead. Oh, good, the window's open. If you make it too difficult for the narcissist to assert control over you, we move to one of those other assertions of control. We assert control over you by no longer doing so, and we move on. There are plenty of other victims. The main reason that people remain ensnared is they don't know how to do no contact properly, and they're misled by their emotional thinking. And the narcissist, actually, people give narcissists far too much credit and think that they are incessant machines that will hoover and hoover and hoover and hoover. If you do no contact properly, the narcissist has no choice but to go elsewhere because he can't get to you. But most people make too many mistakes with it, and they commit what I call no contact suicide. So it's never over in terms of from our perspective. But the one thing is, you must learn you can't control us, but you can control yourself. You can control yourself to build a solid no contact regime. And by doing that, you can effectively force the narcissist away.
Okay, so Helen wants to know, do you ever wish that you had emotions and feelings like the average Joe? Do you feel like you're missing out on those things?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Oh,
I regard many of those things as weaknesses. When I see people curled up in a ball crying, I despise that. It's weak. I recognise that's my perspective, and people won't agree with me. But from my perspective, that's what I view it as. I regard people say, "Wouldn't you like to be able to love?" I say, "Not at all." I see how much trouble it gets people into. It's a nuisance. It's a waste of time, and I don't expect people to agree with me. But you want my perspective? I'm giving it you.
no, I'm glad that you do. But mine used to do that similar, not about being in love, because he told me he was in love, but he used to talk about people were weak that would cry, or that would be over, emotional or whatever, cry at sad movies, cry at their pet passing away, cry at things like that. And he would say that was weak too. He never did that ever.
Exactly. If you cry because I've ignored you, you're weak, but you're giving me fuel because your tears have been predicated by my behavior towards you. That means I've got control over you. If you're crying because your dog's died, I really don't care. That's wasted fuel. You're crying about your dog. You're not crying about anything I've done. Crying about your dog, I don't care about that. And that's even weaker.
That's so true. God. Okay. Anna Rose has a question. She wants to know, can a person turn into a narcissist later in life, or do they have to be born with it?
You don't turn into one later in life. You become a narcissist as a consequence of a genetic predisposition towards narcissism allied with a lack of control environment, roughly up to the age of 9. Thereafter, you don't become a narcissist when you're older. People think, am I turning into one? No, you're not. All that's happening is you are a bundle of empathic and narcissistic traits. And when your emotional empathy becomes eroded, your emotional empathy becomes eroded as a consequence of an external stressor. Financial problems, alcohol, fatigue, bereavement, loneliness. Biggest one, abuse. When you're being abused, your emotional empathy reduces, you lash out, usually at the narcissist. And you might think, oh my God, I'm turning into him. I'm behaving like the narcissist, I'm behaving like her. You're not. All that's happening is your emotional empathy has been reduced, like a tide going out, it will come back. But you can't become a narcissist in adulthood.
Okay. Well, Kelly, I'm going to have to say, I'm going to probably answer that question for you. Do narcissists ever feel bad for all they've done to people? I mean, I think he pretty much said no, right?
No, because from our perspective, we do what's right for us. We don't see it as bad. There's no objective standard of right and wrong. It's not written on a stone tablet at the end of the universe. And from our perspective, I understand why people think what I do is bad. I also do a lot of things that people consider are good. But from my perspective, everything I do is right for me. It might be wrong for you, but that's not my concern. And similarly with other narcissists, what we do is right from our perspective, and therefore there is no comprehension of saying that you've done anything bad. A narcissist might express false contrition and false remorse. I've led a bad life. That's just another form of manipulation. Don't be taken in by it.
Let's see. We have about 3 minutes.
Welcome, Smokey, to the Lawn Chair Mafia. Welcome,
Smokey.
HG Tudor, what is the best way to disarm a narcissist?
Total no contact.
Just leave, right? Just go disappear.
Don't
have a long ending speech. Don't have a long goodbye. No. Just goodbye. Get out. Get out.
Don't even say goodbye. Go. Nope, don't tip us off. If you tip us off, we'll issue a preventative Hoover to try and keep you there. When you realize what you're dealing with, you get out. For some people, they can get out immediately. Others might need a bit of planning. You try and keep the planning to a minimum. The sooner you get away, the better. You can't control us. You can't make us do what you want to do. You can't coexist with us in a relationship and try and manage it. That's emotional thinking. If you think, well, 75% of the time is okay, 25% of the time is quite bad, I can live with that. Why? Why should you have to? That's emotional thinking. So first golden rule of freedom, once you know, you go. You get out and you stay out. That's how you disarm a narcissist.
Okay, well, we have come to the end of our hour and a half. I want to thank you, HG Tudor, for coming back and giving some of your knowledge to our chat. And I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming and listening.
Wait, can I ask 2 more questions real quick? Does a narc love their children?
No.
No, they don't love their children?
No.
Will a narcissist feel sadness if a friend or relative passes away?
Not genuine emotional empathy for the loss. They will cry for themselves that person is no longer around to give them fuel, or fake, although they'll think it's real, but it will be false contrition for the purpose of controlling other people around. Think of certain narcissists at funerals that do a big show of the crocodile tears and the waterworks. Yeah, that's all being done. They're crying for themselves and they're crying to manipulate. We don't have any emotional empathy, so no, we don't actually feel any sadness for them. I find if somebody dies, it pisses me off because I've lost an appliance from my fuel matrix, and I think it's jolly rude of them to go ahead and die.
Oh my God! Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
you're very welcome. Thank you, everybody, for listening to everything that I've said and for listening so patiently. It's appreciated, and thank you for inviting me onto your show. I've enjoyed talking to you all.
Oh, well, we've enjoyed it as well. And again, all the description, in my description are all his links to his YouTube channel, to his website, and to his books that he sells on Amazon that can help you if you need help. It's all there. So it's hard to get through a lot.
It's a huge topic.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, thank you so much. And all you need to do is just hit that little orange exit, and you'll be out.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Dude, okay. I am so triggered.
I know. And I was saying to you, just
oh my God. You don't even know how many times I almost bailed out of this. Like, bye. I'm out. See ya. I'm going to institute no contact right here. Goodbye.
I know. And that's what I kept saying in the chat.
Oh my God. What a trigger.
Yes, there were a couple of other people that were getting triggered in the chat. So I was just saying, breathe.
That was fucking hard for me to listen to. God, that was hard.
I know, but you know what? Like Storm Dancer was saying, why would he want to help anyone? He wants to help people because
he gets paid to help people, right?
Yeah,
he doesn't love us. It's not like he loves us, Diane. Let's not go. We're not thinking that.
I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about in general. Why does he help people? It's on his website. He's very clear that he's not doing this for fuel. He's doing this because at this point in his life, he feels that he does have a lot to share. Sometimes he does get some fuel from people that come into his comment section on his website to mess with him, because you can't mess with, you're not going to win if you try to mess with him, right?
No, you're not. Just get away. Run for your damn life. Get away.
Yeah,
Don't look
so
back. Don't talk about them every week. Don't talk about them all the time, to your friends. Don't. Just shut up. They're dead. They're off your planet. They do not exist anymore. They're gone. Don't follow them around on their social media. Don't talk to all their friends.
Right.
Just be done. Be done. Be done. Be done.
I don't think that he's lonely.
He doesn't feel lonely. That's not that's a weakness to him. He doesn't feel that.
Yeah, no, he can get, I'm pretty sure.
Are you kidding? He's very, very well loved, I'm sure. Lots of people are trying to be his sources of fuel probably at the moment, I'm sure.
Yep. So I don't believe that he's ever lonely. I think he's like when he said he can probably walk into a bar.
Oh, I'm sure.
Charm a woman and do it very well. So I don't think that he's lonely at all. And I think he lives a very good life.
Here, he's not lonely. Let me tell you why. While we were talking, somebody sent me a text message. I won't say who, it doesn't matter. That said he could talk me out of my panties. So
my God.
He's not lonely. I promise. I said he would ruin your life. She said, I need therapy. I said, you might.
I have a feeling I know who that is, but
does not matter who it is. I'm just saying. That's the message I got during this thing. So I'm sure he gets lots of attention. I'm sure his fuel buckets are probably nice and full.
Look, Mr. Jenny saying it was Randy, right?
I'm not telling who it was. Doesn't matter who it was. I'm just saying that he gets probably a lot of attention. He's very educated and smart. And of course, that accent is not difficult to listen to. So I'm sure that he gets a lot of women that think he's fantastic.
Oh, well,
I'm not saying it's Randy.
Poor Randy. Well,
he's gonna kill me. It's not. I'm not saying it's Randy. I'm not saying that. You guys are all guessing Randy for no reason.
For no reason. I think Randy has made it very clear before in our chat when we talked about HG and when she was here the last time. So I'm going to take a wild guess. That's all. They're all taking a wild guess.
I'm up here, triggered the house, and I get this message. He could talk me out of my panties. Oh, God. Stop it. He's an asshole. What about narcissistic sounds good to you? Come on, he's a prick. You don't want to be with this person. Trust me. Oh my God.
And it's kind of sad. Like the last time when we had him on and, I asked him about, if one of his pets died. He can't even be sad for a pet. I mean, I worry when Coco, coughs up a hairball. I panic.
I know.
I'm like, damn. It's really sad. I mean, you have to look at it that way. I have to look at it that it's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. But when you're when you're in the place of being addicted, being in the addiction, which is very interesting to me. I didn't know that I really thought of it as an addiction before, but that's a great way to say it, because it is like an addiction. And then when you start getting in trouble all the time because you're not, doing something, who knows, God only knows what you're not doing now. And you start being in trouble all the time, then you're in a panic because you feel like that addiction is going to go away. And so you panic and, oh my God, I don't miss those days at all. Jesus, God.
Yeah, it's got to be really tiring. It's got to be a whole tiring situation to be in a relationship with one and to be one. I don't know. I mean, it sounds so tiring, and that's why I guess it all calculated or just, the words. Like, does he know when he's doing hoovering? I mean, like, do they know that?
Does he still do this? I would love to know, but I don't know that he would tell us, but I would love to know if he still does this. Do you still love bomb people? Do you still try to get a primary source? Do you still try to have a tertiary source? Like, do you still try to do that? Or are you set in your life now?
No, no. Well, why would I mean, what do you mean set in his life? What does that mean?
Like, does he because he knows that by doing that, he's hurting people. Logically, he knows that.
He just said he doesn't care if he hurts people.
He's still doing it then?
Well, of course. He's until he dies, probably.
Even though he knows he's going to hurt somebody.
Well, I guess. I mean,
He's just really up front with them and like, look, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. And there are women that will take it. Trust me.
well,
There
he's
are.
scared to stand up. But you know, here's the thing: because they do it the way he does it, he knows how to suck a woman in. You know what I mean? They're not going to be scared of him. He's going to do all the charming things and everything that he listed about the love bombing and the gifts and all that. He knows that he knows the deal. He
Yeah.
knows how to, you know, break down. And, wow.
Niece, I will. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, you're probably right. It probably is just a lifelong thing. Ugh,
It's,
man, that's creepy as hell. That was hard, man. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to have him on again. Can we be done now? I can't. It was like listening to my ex. I couldn't even. I was so triggered. Oh my God.
So,
Everything he said, he played out my entire relationship right before my eyes. Everything he said. Every single thing. So that means if I had known this stuff, however long ago, if I had known this stuff, I could have avoided that whole relationship.
well, yeah. And that's why, you know, he has all these books on the, you know, on the subject. You know, I think he has like over 40 books on there. So there's a book out there for every area of a narcissistic relationship, whether it's with a father and son or a mother and daughter. I mean, he pretty much covers it all. So when he was telling you, Wendy, about the things, how to go no contact, and that people think that because you're not seeing the person or you're not talking to them on the phone, that you really completed the no contact. But he gave you all the other things that people do, you know, like you didn't block him in your phone, or you talked about him to someone, or you did this or you did that. Do you feel that you've gone through all of the right things to do to absolutely have no contact, or are there still some things that you might?
I guess I haven't, because I still talk about him, especially here. If we're talking about things, I might bring him up, or you know, he might come up, and so therefore I'm still talking about him.
Yeah.
It doesn't do what it used to do, like open up a whole bunch of wounds and, you know, take me to the ground. It doesn't do all of that, but you know, if I don't have to talk about him, I'd rather not, of course. So I guess, you know, no, I haven't. But as far as not speaking to him, not allowing him to speak to me, that's already done. That's been done for over a year.
Okay, good.
But you know, I do talk about him, I guess, every once in a while when I'm here. So
all right, well then we have to stop talking about it.
I have to be done with that.
Yeah, I guess we have to be done with that whole topic.
Yeah.
Because then, like, you know, he said that's not really full no contact. I guess it's really difficult because there probably are some people that do that. You know, they will go to their social media to see what they're doing, even though they don't want to be with them anymore. They want to know what's going on, or they talk to a friend of theirs, or, you know, something like that.
Yes. Oh yeah, I've done all that too, for sure. Long ago, not now, not anytime recently, but you know, long ago, I did all that.
Well, Joy, that's a good thing. I mean, don't let him be in contact with you. Don't, you know, I don't, for the life of me, I can't figure out why after all those years, he's still wanting to, you know, find you or get in contact with you.
Wendy, can you please read my last comment? Yeah, let me try to find you, Kimberly.
The Winner Takes All. That's a song dedicated to HG Tudor by ABBA. The Winner Takes All.
Oh, okay. She wants to know, has he ever been married or does he have children?
I've never asked him that because I don't want to, you know, ask him anything personal.
Fact finder, I don't have kids with him. I'm not talking about Scott. Scott is not a narcissist at all. He's an incredible husband, incredible father, great guy, not a narcissist at all. So I don't have kids with my narc. Thank God. Thank God. Can you imagine? Yeah. I know the way to do that is you're supposed to go what they call gray rock, because you can't really do no contact. So you go gray rock, which means that you only speak about the children. That's it. So text messages that come in, phone calls that come in, they have to only be about the children. Every other topic is off limits. So if they start going on about something else, you cut them off right there and end the call or end the text message exchange. So you go gray rock. Only the children are the only thing you guys are allowed to speak on, nothing else. That's the closest you can get to no contact if you share children with a narcissist. I do know that much, but I don't share children with a narcissist, thank God. So I never had to do that.
Oh, it's oh no, it's scary.
Robin, bless your heart, honey.
Oh, Robin. Oh,
Your ex was part of your life. There's no way you could never, ever speak of him or think of him again. Cass, you have to. If they're a toxic, terrible person, you have to. You're never going to get it out of your life if you don't. Yeah, Paige, they're not going to like it, of course, because they're losing control over you. That's why they fight, because they're losing control over you. And eventually then you say to them, then you're not going to talk to me at all. That's it. Those are your options. You either talk about the kids or not at all.
why is it called Gray Rock? That, you know what, Cherry Bomb? I have no idea where these terms came up.
Yeah, no idea.
Who made them?
I don't know. I don't know who made them up.
Hoovering, gaslighting, love bombing.
Triangulation.
Yeah, triangulation.
Yeah. And we had him talk in the concept, in the context of an emotional, romantic relationship. Yeah. We should have had him talk about, and I was, I was completely, that's fine. It's fine. That's okay. But I would be interested also to hear him talk about that in the context of a friendship, because we know that there are friends narcs in our life. There are friend narcissists in our life, and they treat you the exact same way. You're fuel for them. That's it. They don't really love you. You're just there to, stroke their ego or fill their pot in some way. They're not taking care of you. You're taking care of them. And then when you no longer take care of them, they discard you. And then they do the triangulation where they smear your name all over the place. We've seen that here in the community.
Yeah.
I know we've seen it.
Yep.
So take what he said tonight, and you can apply that to friendships too. They don't always have to be romantic relationships.
Gaslight comes from a film, Hoovering, Flying Monkeys, all that. You can find on Wiki for their, oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, Flying Monkeys, that's another thing. That's when all their friends come out and try to send you the same message that you're a piece of shit and you did everything wrong. Why don't you write him a letter and never mail it for closure? No, thank you. No, I'm good. Thank you. I have no desire to write him a letter. I'm happy he's gone. Bye-bye. See you later.
Yeah, but that it had to be exhausting for you when you were in that relationship.
Oh, very, very, very exhausting.
And you had to feel.
I never, because after the initial love bombing and all of the initial stuff, the first, golden era or whatever it is, once you're out of that, there was never another time that we got back in it. Mm-hmm. So I stayed in a perpetual state of trying to get back into the golden era, for the better part of 10 years.
Oh, look, Shauna Britt's here. He said,
so, yeah, that was exhausting.
Has he gone yet? Let's talk about me. Because everyone said that Shauna Britt sounds like HG Tudor. Yeah, it does sound exhausting. So, well, you were in your relationship
for a long time.
Yeah. Did you know when you were in that relationship that you were in a relationship with a narcissist?
Towards the end, I knew, because I started educating myself. At first I started just looking up abuse, because it had occurred to me that I was in an abusive relationship and I didn't really understand why or how or whatever, because I had never been in one before. So I didn't know that that's what it was. And so I started Googling abusive relationships, just, I don't know why. I just did one day. And eventually through that, I started learning about these terms and what borderline personality disorder is, what narcissism personality disorder is, all of these things. I started learning all of the, the different signs and the different, if you do this, does he do this, and vice versa, and you might be with a narcissist. And so then by the end there, I pretty much knew what he was, and I didn't care. I was going to be the one that loved him through all that. And it's okay. It's totally fine with me that you treat me like shit and probably cheat on me. It's fine. As long as you stay with me, and I will be the one who loves you because I'm your soulmate. So no one else will love you better than me. And then that didn't work. And then that was the end forever after that.
Wow.
So it took a while, but yes, then I finally reached the end of never mind, it's over forever. Goodbye. Was there physical abuse? No, just mental and emotional and verbal.
Well, yeah, he said not all narcissists are physically abusive.
Oh, Mary, that's disgusting. I'm sorry, dude. And it's sad because they're really, it feels like so many people, like almost everyone in this audience right now, has had an experience with one.
Yeah.
That's so amazing to me how prevalent it is in our society, yet there's so little that I feel like people really know.
Well, like I said, I never heard the term narcissist until I came to YouTube.
Yeah, I bet. I understand that. Oh, thanks, Cat K. That's fine. Yeah, Red Raven. Me too.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all you can do, is at some point, I guess, like he said, see the light, realize what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a narcissist. You're never going to win. You're never going to get what you want out of a narcissist. If you're, if you're not one, you just, I guess we should have asked him, and I think we might have asked him the last time, can two narcissists have a relationship? It would probably, I can't imagine it. It probably would be so chaotic. I wonder if that could even happen.
If what can happen?
If two narcissists can be dating or be in a relationship or a marriage.
Oh, it's not pretty. We've seen it. We see it here on YouTube right now.
What, two people that are married?
Not pretty. Well, they're not married, but they're cohabitating.
Oh.
And no, it's not going well. It doesn't go well.
He said they had great sex, didn't he? I don't know. Did he say that? I don't know.
He said that that's one of the ways that a narc will keep you, is by giving you very great, attentive, knows all your needs, takes care of all your needs, is very similar to you and what you like, what you don't like, etc. And that's all part of mirroring, right? They're mirroring what you like. And that's one of the ways they get you under their control.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're right, Kelly. I did. And he did say two narcs, and he said one is usually a lesser narc. Yes, I think we asked him on the last time he was here.
Mm.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Thank you, Stellar. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Stellar.
Yeah, I think that knowledge is definitely power. And because we've spoken about this topic, months and months and months ago, I thought it would be, I don't even know, I can't even remember now how I came across him, but I did. And I figured, let me reach out to him and see if he'll do this. I knew he did private consults, but I asked him if he would do this, and he said yes. So I thought it would be interesting to have somebody on like him who could, next to a psychologist or a therapist, someone who actually, sits in a room with narcissists. They could have as easily come on as well. But I thought this was interesting to have somebody like him on here.
Yeah, me too. Hey, Top Cop, I'm glad you're here.
Check out the first interview here on Diane's channel, aired on February 4th. Thank you, Selena. Yes, it was a really good panel. We did more questions from the audience instead of just, sticking to one specific topic. We kind of went all over the place. Yeah, definitely listen to, I could actually put it in the description of this live stream if people want to refer back to the first one.
Oh, yeah, you should link it if you want.
Yeah.
You should link it in case people want to listen to the first one.
It could be hard to spot them because they say exactly what you want them to. This is until they have control. Yeah, well,
yeah, it was like when he's talking about, you go to the bar and you smile at someone because they smiled at you, and boom, that's already the start of the narcissist web pulling you in. My God, like I can't even smile at anyone at the bar now. That's what you're like. Hello, now I'm scared to go anywhere.
Well, yeah, isn't that kind of weird? Because
it's so crazy.
Because that happens so much in your life. You go out, when you're young with your friends, and there's guys in the club, and you look at them. So, wow. So you can't look at a guy and smile back at them because he might be a narcissist. or vice versa.
I mean, you can. You just got to be careful. My God.
Yeah, oh my God.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Ringo.
I can
Thank
see you,
you.
Mac. I can see you, Mac. You're in here. Yeah, that one, I don't know. It was interesting. I know that I know Wendy, I could hear her. I knew what was happening while she was sitting there, and I was like, oh my God, breathe, Wendy.
Oh, that was hard. That was really hard. Not gonna lie.
Well, I knew, kind of knew that it was going to be, but I was hoping that it wouldn't be. And then someone else in the chat said that too, and I was like, breathe.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard, but that's all right. It's okay.
I know I've been happily married for 18 years now after my first disastrous marriage to a narcissist. Well, see, so you were able to identify, um, you know, for the next time out. And that's what he was pretty much saying to Wendy's. And when you left, when you said to him, what did you say to him earlier on? Mind your own business.
Yeah.
I was dying.
You just mind your business. Don't be asking me personal questions. Back off. Back off, Narc. I won't talk to you.
I was dying when you said that. Just mind your own business.
You just mind your business. Shh. You don't need to be asking me questions. I'm asking you the questions. Not the other way around. If you ask me anything, you shut up. I'm not getting pulled in your narc trap. Go away. You sit over there. Don't ask me any questions.
Oh, that was funny.
Well,
that was so funny when you did that.
Because I think he asked me like a real question that I was like, I can't answer that.
Yeah.
Just,
well, you were asking him about, I think, the no contact and.
Oh yeah. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this?
Yes. Have you done this?
You just mind your business. You don't need to be asking me questions.
And then you said 6 months. What?
Well, yeah, because that's a joke. 6 months.
Well, I think what he was saying is that if you found yourself in that position and you needed help to get away, that if you read his books or you went to his website and you got help, that you could achieve it in 6 months.
Yeah.
Instead of 5 years. I finally blocked his number a while ago. Who, Eric?
Oh, that's like two more comments above that where he's telling the story.
Oh, sorry.
He had a terrible person in his life too.
My ex told me I was his second wife, and I found out I was his fourth.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my God. Damn.
HG didn't really ask you when he told you. See, Kelly? He's trying to do his little narc tricks on me. No, thank you.
He was testing you.
I repel your narc tricks.
He
Stay
was
over
testing you to see if you could be tricked again.
That's right. And I couldn't.
Into another narcissistic relationship. Oh
my God, that's right. And I couldn't.
He wants your number.
No, he does not.
I'm kidding. Oh my God.
And then Selena down in the chat, who hates me, she can't stand me at all, is asking questions about my love life. Go sit down. You don't need to be asking questions about my love life. Stand. Mind your business too. I have an 18-year order of protection. Yeek. His Jedi tricks. That's right. They won't work on me. Sit down right over there.
Selena said, it took me 5 years and almost every bone in my body broke before I finally left.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh my God, Selena.
That's terrible. That is horrible.
Yes, I know Randy said to give him her number. She said that to me too in a message earlier.
Randy is crazy. Don't listen to her.
Yeah, she's crazy.
She's crazy. She's a loon. Don't listen to her. Forget what she's saying. She's a loon.
Oh my God. Maybe HG could market his fragrance and we can spray it on ourselves as a narc repellent.
Right.
But, that's funny. My mom has been divorced from my remarried narc father for 20 years and still sneaks out to see him. Wow. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard. Yeah, you're right, Pam. Maybe because Randy thinks that she can fix him.
Well, let me tell you, you cannot. Let me tell you, he will not care if your lizard dies, Randy. He won't care. And if you cry about it, he will laugh at you. You will look weak in his eyes.
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you. Let's see. No, that's the wrong thing. I added a couple of new emojis. I added a slice of pizza. You just have to type in pizza. Black pepper. I thought that would be funny.
That would be funny. Yeah. Do you have a black pepper one?
Yeah.
No problem. Oh my God, you have a lot.
Yeah.
Look at all the emojis you have. So you found out how to upload emojis then, clearly.
Oh yeah, it's really easy. You just go to Google, you find something,
So, yeah, you have to put black pepper up there.
Yeah.
Like you need to get rid of the pink ball and get rid of some of the ones that don't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
What's the pink ball for?
Yeah, I could do that.
And then put black pepper. I mean, if they make you have a limited amount, I don't know if they do or not.
No. There's there's no limit that you have to have. So, but I added the pizza, the black pepper. I changed the cocoa. Yes, I added the frappuccino, the Starbucks frappuccino.
That's funny.
Well, I had to put the black pepper in. Come on now. No, that was funny.
Yeah, you do. So is the black pepper in? Because I don't see it.
Yeah, it's there.
There it is. Oh my God, how cute. I thought it was going to be like a pepper shaker.
No, it's the actual McCormick
black pepper box. That is so cute.
Yeah. And that pretty much looks like what cocoa looks like.
Oh, someone said you should try to get someone to help you get rid of the white border.
Well, I don't see a white border on, do you have it on dark mode?
Yes.
Okay, if you have it on dark mode, you're going to see that. If you don't have it on dark mode, you're not going to see a border.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, if you have a white background, you're not going to see it. I don't. I have dark background.
Yeah,
PNG files don't have the white border. So you're doing like JPEGs?
I don't know. Probably.
If there's a way to save them, as a PNG file?
Well, I would have to go back and redo all of this.
Well, you don't have to.
And I don't even know, and I probably don't even have.
Like your egg cream shows up without a border.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, that one doesn't have a border. What else doesn't? Is that the only one? Yeah, the egg cream is the only one that doesn't have a border.
But I don't see the border.
Yeah.
I don't have dark mode on. So.
I don't understand light mode. I don't understand how anybody could ever want light mode. my whole phone is dark mode. My messages are dark mode. My Google is dark mode. Like as soon as dark mode becomes available anywhere, that's the first thing I put on. Twitter's in dark mode.
Yeah, I guess it's, you can have it whatever way you want. I don't know. And I didn't really take that into consideration that it was going to have that little.
They're still super cute though, honey.
Yeah.
They really are. They're still super cute.
Yeah, I just thought it would be funny to put the black pepper since I, still being accused of adding extra black pepper.
Right.
Never happened. So I thought it was funny.
I think it is very funny. Yes. And I saw the pizza too. Super cute. You seem dark, Wendy. I am. I'm a dark soul. There you go. I know. I'm a dark soul.
Yeah, you're right, Making Racket. There are different levels of narcs. I don't know. And he did say that some are like what did he call himself again? He's on
like a greater level or something like that.
Higher level or something like that.
Greater. I think it was greater narc.
So he's like all the way up there.
Of course he is. I mean, he is. He's super smart, so I'm sure he is. That's fine. He knows what he's talking about. That's all I care about.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that he knows what he's talking about.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. He does sound a little like Dracula, but once you get past that, then you're fine.
See, I don't think that he sounds like Dracula. I think
No,
he
he
sounds
does.
like Sean the Brit.
Well, maybe Sean the Brit sounds a little like Dracula too.
Maybe.
Except I've seen Sean the Brit, so I know he's not Dracula. This guy I haven't seen. He's just behind a little icon that says evil. He's Satan. He's Satan behind that icon.
What is everyone's thought regarding we all have a little bit of narcissism in us? I guess to some extent we probably do, but
But see, when I think of narcissism, I don't think of people that like themselves. That's just high self-esteem.
Yeah.
When I think of narcissism, I think of people that have no empathy. They don't care what happens to other people because you're tools for them. So I don't know that we all have narcissism in us. If people like themselves or feel good about themselves, that's not being a narcissist in my mind. Being a narcissist is when you have absolutely no empathy for other people. Other people are tools or objects, like he said, a toaster, refrigerator. You're objects in a house to him. If you break down, it's inconvenient, so he needs to replace you. That's it. There's no love there. So no, I would say I don't have a narcissism in me because I don't feel like that about anybody in my life.
No, I love people in my life, and that's why I get upset when people go after people in my life.
That's how I feel too. So, I love people that are in my life. I don't think of them as tools for me at all. So no, I don't feel like that's the same thing as being self-confident.
Yeah, I think that the terms that I used to hear about, like you would say, that man, he's really egotistical, or he's conceited because he looks at himself in the mirror more than I do. That's not a narcissist. That's just somebody who likes to look at themselves in the mirror all the time.
Exactly. They're just high self-esteem. They think that they're hot, so they look at each other.
Exactly. So yeah, that's completely different.
That could be stuck up or any other number of things, but I don't.
Stuck up, egotistical, conceited, those kind of words. But
that's not an art.
They're not controlling you, and they're
Right.
Well, he talked about that. Guy, last time he was on, someone said something like narcissists should be all put on one island together or something like that. But he did say that they do bring to us a lot of good things. And he mentioned other narcissists, like Steve Jobs is a narcissist. So he gave us, look what he gave us, but he is a narcissist. So when he said that, I went and Googled him later on that night. And sure enough, on Google, link after link after link said that Steve Jobs was a narcissist.
Yeah, I believe it.
So they do bring good into the world. They just suck as people. The reality is that they have very low self-esteem.
Yeah, very, very insecure.
Well, he could be, Emily. He might be. I would have to Google him. Pretty sure that's what you're going to find under there. Yeah, it makes sense about Steve Jobs. I really didn't know until he said that. He also talked about Meghan Markle.
Yeah, you told me that.
In fact, I think he has I don't know if he has a book out on her yet, but I know that it's on his website. He said that she is a narcissist. Definitely.
We are not saying that. He said that before anybody comes and leaves nasty comments in our comment section. He's the one who said that. We did not say it.
Oh, no, he said it. Yeah, and I know that Emily has been talking about Meghan Markle, and she's been talking about that she feels that she is a narcissist as well. Before she even knew that HG Tudor said it. And he was explaining the whole thing about what she did. I mean, look at the situation that Harry's in right now. This has never happened. They left, took off, and went to Canada. Yeah. Kind of strange.
I need to go. So.
Okay, well, and this has been on for 2 hours.
Okay.
And I want to thank everyone for coming. And I will put the link in the description with his links to the very first panel that he came on. I would be happy to come on and give my thoughts on Marco. maybe we'll do it another time, Emily, because we have been on for 2 hours, and Wendy has to get off. It's been a 2-year journey of studying her. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, come on the panel. I'd love to hear about her next time we're on.
Yeah, next time we're on, we'll definitely, maybe we'll just do a panel on Meghan Markle and see what other people's opinions are on that. And again, thank you everyone for coming. I thought it was a great night, great evening with HG, and yeah, and we'll see you definitely
Friday night
for ladies' night.
So, take care, everybody.
Yeah, everybody have a good rest of your week and stay safe. Continue to stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Oh, wait a minute. Give me a second here. Okay. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.